Forks in the road. Everybody comes to a stage in their career where a decision needs to be made. We're at that spot right now with Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast. He's in the heavyweight division. This fight here against Rodrigo Nascimento is arguably going to be the steepest drop down in competition that the man has faced in his career in at least the last 5 years or so. This is the point. Is he a gatekeeper or is he a contender in the heavyweight division? That's the question that we're attempting to answer here this week, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. My name is Derick G. I am your host, and welcoming me, as always, the Santa Fe bomber, the New Mexico native. AJ, the question stands. Derrick Lewis, gatekeeper, contender? At heavyweight, you have a longer leash than a lot of the other divisions, so this is a real question at play. Before we jump in and answer all of that stuff, man, which way are you leaning?
Woo, man, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more contender, Derrick. It seems like they might be throwing something there to build Derrick Lewis up. We'll see if it happens, though. Rodrigo Nascimento is nothing to sleep on.
He is a man that can definitely go on a 1-4 streak and still get a brand new contract from the UFC because one, star appeal, right? It's Derrick Lewis. You're going to tune into a Derrick Lewis fight, win, lose, or draw. It doesn't matter. Number two, listen, man, at heavyweight, the one thing remains pertinent. It's that power. And as long as you got that power, you have a fighting chance. So again, folks, we're here to break it all down. This is going to be an interesting card because this is coming off of a pay-per-view card into a fight night card, but we're on the road. St. Louis, baby. So listen, fans, a lot of things to talk about here. Let's not mince any words, AJ. Let's jump straight into the records. As you can see, it's an even playing field right here, folks. No post-show last week. Apologies, had some little medical stuff pop up, but nothing changed here, more or less, right? 4-1 on the week for both of us. We're not going to talk about that. We're talking about this week. AJ, 61.54% across the board for me and you both. Clearly, not nearly close to where we want to be, but what is your sentiment for all of the MMA analysts out there that love throwing out picks but don't love to give any accountability? Talk to the people.
That's what I was about to say, Derrick. Accountability, I guess, is the word of the day, man. No, yeah, folks, check it. 60+%. I mean, we're getting more than double or one out of every two picks going for you. We're putting money in your pockets. And the best part is you know exactly how much we're going to be winning for the accountability we're tracking. Nobody else is doing that out there for you. We put the challenge out. Let's see if somebody else is willing to even try. They're not happening, man. Nobody's happy with it, but we're winning you money. And thank you for showing up for it.
That's right. So with that little disclosure, that pretext, let's jump into the picks, AJ, the TLDR, if you will. Folks, big screens popping up. You got the picks right here. It's actually right on over there. We're not going to talk about this. This is your opportunity to take a screenshot per usual, jump to your local sports book, cash in some bets, and then, of course, hit the YouTube comments and let us know. What do you agree with? What don't you agree with? But more importantly, after you win your money, that's when we want you to smash those comments right there. But now it's time for the real money. AJ, consensus picks are up. And here they are, my friend. The Black Beast, New Monster, Joaquin Buckley, and then Rebecki. I know it's a little tough name to pronounce. That's not the point. The point is, as always, you have a theme for us for our consensus picks this week. What is the theme, sir?
Theme this week, Derrick, is chalk, brother. All of these guys are the favorites going in right here, and all of them have that consistency going, if you will. I like chalk this week.
You know, it's also interesting, too, because while it is a chalky 3 picks that we have right here, 2 of these fighters seem to almost be the B-side. That's Derrick Lewis and Joaquin Buckley. We're not talking about star appeal right here, folks. We're talking about sharps, handicapping, wagering, lots to break down, lots of value to be had. All right, now here for the parlay watch. So I guess we're doing this out of order. Normally it's a prop, then a parlay, but let's hit the parlay first. 7-8 is the record. AJ, we need to get that above 500. For the people who are watching, we will get this above 500, and we're starting this week. Listen, I'm pulling them together. Derrick Lewis, Joaquin Buckley, money line them both together. You get plus money. I like the odds there. AJ, what's the second parlay we got?
Man, second parlay up, Carlos Ulberg versus Alonzo Menifield, over 1.5. I think they're going to start off calculated, respect each other's power, and then you get Rebecki, the minus, I think it was open, minus 400 favorite. You get the favorite, and then you add them both together, plus money right there, making you cash this weekend.
Yeah, that sounds like a very easy way to take chalk and turn it into value, and that's what we're all about right here, folks. A little more value here for you. This is the prop locks of the week for UFC St. Louis. AJ, you start first. You got an interesting one.
Yes, exactly, Derrick. Very interesting right here. Chase Hooper versus Vyacheslav Borishev. Man, Slava Claus is back. Over 1.5 rounds right here. Again, I think both of these fighters are going to be very calculated. And if Chase Hooper gets this to the ground, definitely going that over 1.5 for you.
I think it's an interesting one because what's the odds that both of them and the odds, dununch, right? Minus 130 for over 1.5 for both sets of fighters. Completely different styles of fights and all that. I got Numansa Joaquin Buckley versus Nursultan Ruziboev over 1.5 rounds for minus 130. Listen, folks, the short end of it is I'm not convinced Ruziboev is the real deal in the UFC yet. He's been starching his oppositions, getting people out of there quick, but it's a little bit of a jump from Cedricus Dumas to Joaquin Buckley. So if he cannot starch Buckley early, I like the odds of this going over 1.5 rounds at minus 130. That is a fantastic price to pay right there for something that I think is an absolute lock. So with that being said, that was props, that was parlays, money line, and most importantly, consensus picks here from you, from AJ and myself, yours truly, if you will. With that being said, time to jump into a main card breakdown, AJ. Let's get straight to it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derrick G and AJ.
All right, folks, we're here to break down the main card of UFC St. Louis. You know how the deal goes. We're going to start with the main event and work all the way down to the opening bout. But before we can do that, I don't know the right word. You need to subscribe, folks. That's what I'm trying to get at. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. We are getting very, very close to 1,000 subscribers. What started off as just a gang of people, a small ensemble, has turned into a fierce armada. We say it week in and week out. We love the support, and no more support can be shown than dropping that subscribe button. But with that being said, AJ, let's jump straight into it. Black Beast Fight Week versus Rodrigo Nascimento. And interestingly enough, I guess let me give the pretext again. Opening odds right here, folks. We're going to talk to you about the live odds as well. Opening odds, Derrick Lewis hardly closes as a favorite. Minus 160, plus 135 comeback for Rodrigo Nascimento. Would you be surprised if I told you that the live odds have not shifted very much, man? Minus 170 for Lewis, plus 140 for Nascimento. What are we reading into this? What do you like about Nascimento in this matchup?
Man, what I like about Nascimento is he's very much a similar style to what we saw with Derrick Lewis in his last fight, right? And with the Jailton Almeida, the kind of style that he's going to bring. The thing is, though, Nascimento also has some speed to him, some speed in those hands, some different kind of footwork and stuff. So I'm interested to see how Lewis handles the puzzle that was his past opponent, but also with a couple different variables right here. So maybe that's where the odds makers, or at least the gamblers that are putting money on Nascimento, see hand speed does make a difference. They both got power. Which one nullifies each other, I think, is a big question.
I think it's tough because I don't quite see Nascimento fitting that mold of a Jailton Almeida per se. He can get a takedown if he really needs to get a takedown. I think in the UFC he's got like 3 of them. It's not a ton, but I see him as a touch him up heavyweight, a volume style heavyweight. Right? I'm gonna walk you down and I'm just gonna touch, hook, boop, boop, boop. Right? And you got to respect it because Derrick Lewis has struggled with the evasive heavyweight of his day, right? But Rodrigo Nascimento is no Cyril Gane. So I come into this questioning, okay, well, can you walk down Derrick Lewis? And that's the question that I want us to brainstorm right here before we jump into the actual numbers of the odds, right? If Rodrigo Nascimento wants to be successful in this fight, I think he has to lead the dance. I have a hard time seeing him winning off of his back foot. Can he walk down Derrick Lewis without the threat of the nuclear bomb coming back his way?
That's the caveat right there, Derek. Can he do it with avoiding the nuclear bomb that's going to happen? Because I like Nascimento for his combos, right? Like you said, fast hands, the touch him up style, throws good combos, and he's down to stand and trade. But the thing is, he's not really much of a forward momentum. Like, yeah, he will have that forward momentum going, but he's not leaving him, or when he does have the combos, he's leaving himself a little bit more open to that attack. And I think that's why Nascimento likes to throw a combo, stand there, analyze, see what's going on, and then attack from there, defend, whatever the case is. I don't really see him just bulldozing through Derrick Lewis, especially with that power.
One of the biggest questions that I have going into this to kind of couple all this together is Rodrigo Nascimento. If you look at his run over his last 10, a lot of his finishes are submissions, right? Arm bars, Kimuras, fun stuff like that. Look at his submission prop, AJ. Plus 4,000 for the submission prop. The best prop they have available for Nascimento is a TKO at plus 375. Now, you're going to tell me that he's going to go toe-to-toe with Lewis and knock him out? I don't agree. I can see their logic being he gets a takedown and then he uses a TKO ground and pound style type finish. If Derrick Lewis can't say jiu-jitsu is not real, let's just stand up, right? But he has to get taken down in order for that to happen. So now this is the opportunity to discuss all of these lines and see what makes the most sense. Minus 120 TKO for Derrick Lewis. Do you touch that? Is there value enough there, or are you better off just sticking with a pure money line given that this is such a juicy price for Derrick Lewis?
Yeah, that's a hard question, Derrick. My mind instantly goes normally, right? Derrick Lewis minus 120 KO. Yeah, there's juice right there. That's obvious. But at minus 170, he can get this done at a decision too, even though that decision prop is wild, man. Plus 1,000, it might be the gas tank they're thinking about Derrick Lewis. But if he's able to nullify, control, and like you said, just say jiu-jitsu isn't real and stand up and make this fight a standing battle, man, we could see this happen a couple different ways. I like the money line personally.
Yeah, I think a money line is a good play right here. I think, folks, the way that you should visualize this, if you just want to take this from the macro and bring it to the micro, is you have a touch-em-up fighter in Rodrigo Nascimento who has the threat of the takedown and the threat of the submission. But you have Derrick Lewis, who's such a formidable force in the sense of massive power. One shot can get it done, and if you shoot incorrectly and you don't finish the takedown, he's dropping elbows on your head and he's getting you out of there. So the TKO, to me, is by far the clearest method of victory for Derrick Lewis. I'm not in favor of a decision victory right here. If you actually look back, the last decision victory that Derrick Lewis had was back against Ilir Latifi in 2020, many moons ago. And you look at Rodrigo Nascimento, who just came off a split decision against like an old man, Ilir Latifi, not even the same version of Ilir Latifi. It's something right there. I think that this is a coming of age fork in the road, as we just talked about, and I don't think that they're respecting Derrick Lewis the way that he should. Lowest version of competition that he's had when you roll off the Sergey Spivaks, Pavlovich's, Tuivasa, Cyril Gane, Almeida, Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, right? I just think that this is a smash spot for Derrick Lewis. That is my pick right here, and I'm going to roll with the knockout minus 120, but the bet is simply on that money line minus 170 juice. What do you got, AJ?
I'm with you, Derrick. On money on that juice of that money line minus 160, man. Makes a lot of sense to me. I'm excited to see the Black Beast get a chance to show off again.
That's it. Finally, an opportunity where it feels like the pressure isn't massively on his shoulders, but at the same time, you lose this one. Yeah, pressure's on, buddy. All right, man. On to the co-main event right here, and this is where it really gets interesting because we might have a surging contender on our hands. Joaquin Buckley, he's putting his rank on the line by taking a short notice fight because he wanted to fight at UFC St. Louis hometown event. Well, who does he get? You get the 6'5" Nursultan Ruziboev with a 1,000,000-inch reach and all of that good stuff. If we're actually being particular, 5'10" is Joaquin Buckley, 6'5" is Nursultan, and 76-inch reach is the reach right there for him. So it's actually not that crazy. That is actually kind of crazy. They have the same reach, AJ, 76 inches a pop. What do you think about that?
That is crazy, and he's he got like 6 inches on him too, 7 inches. That's interesting.
I mean, not all builds are built the same, right? You know, at the end of the day, it's all there in the height. Listen, man, 80-inch reach is kind of a ridiculous reach to have right there. That's a John Jones reach at 6'5". You got to make some compromises. This is the point here. Ruziboev has been a sniper in the UFC, man. He's putting it on people. He's overwhelming them. And it seems like at this point, nobody can get out of the first round. All 10 of his last finishes are all first-round finishes. If you go further, it's probably more than that. But the point is this. Nobody's talking about it. This ain't 185, AJ. This is 170 pounds welterweight. Ruziboev is moving down and still thinks that he can maintain the power to knock out Numansa, who I like this version of Joaquin Buckley. AJ, let me actually double down. I really like this version of Joaquin Buckley. He seems like he's taken his career the most serious that he's ever been. It seems like he has more resources than he's ever had to invest in himself in his career. And this is a man who is no longer just kind of a swing and bang type fighter. He'll wrestle you. He'll get in the pocket. It's not just one shot capacity that we're looking for. Joaquin Buckley is a true mixed martial artist that he's shown at the highest levels. Only problem is Ruziboev and his frame is going to be tough to tackle for anybody. Pardon the pun. So what is the path to victory here for Joaquin Buckley?
Man, Joaquin Buckley, I think I doubled down, or if you're Joaquin Buckley, you double down on what you're just saying, Derrick. Being that smart, more intelligent fighter, finding the moments that you're able to do. Because Joaquin Buckley, man, he can do it all. He's really polished up his game, and he's good on the front foot. So if you can bully up Ruziboev a little bit, get him pressed up, get him looking for something that he hasn't seen, right? Feeling the pressure a little bit, close that distance and get to work. I mean, if you're going to stand on the outside and just trade with Ruziboev, man, you're on the end of those shots. You're going to be feeling it. I think the best option right here is for Buckley to make this dirty, get him in a clinch, get him in whatever, take him down, whatever you can do to really make Nursultan Ruziboev feel like he's never been in this spot before. That's going to be the game plan for Buckley, and hopefully leans a little bit on that old mentality where he does just get in there and get wild. He's a smart man, though. We'll see what he does.
If you're Joaquin Buckley and you're overcoming this 6'5" behemoth in front of you, does it not make all the sense in the world to try to close the distance and beat up the body? I feel like that's not an approach a lot of people take when it comes to these long, tall fighters. What are they going to be trying to do? Headhunt, and they're going to be guarding up and all that stuff. What does that leave open? Midsection, rip them to the body. I don't want to give Mike Tyson analogies or impressions here for Joaquin Buckley, but he does have that peekaboo style, right? Getting in, that's one of my biggest concerns too, man, because it takes a lot of energy to use that style to close that distance. And again, distance management has been a key factor for Ruziboev. So AJ, real quick, one thing that I did want to do is I wanted to pull up Ruziboev's record, and I just want to take a look one more time, man, because I'm going to say I'm still not convinced. I'm not convinced that this dude is the truth at the highest level. But if you look at the last 2 wins, Bruno Ferreira, arguably one of the best victories on his entire career, starts them, man. First round, just hit him with a clean shot, got him out of there. This one should have an asterisk on it. But if you watch it back, the momentum was totally in his favor. It should still have an asterisk given that he poked the dude in the eye, he turned away, and then he knocked him out. And the ref was like, all right, well, that's a knockout. So how much credit do you give this Dumas victory for Ruziboev? Are you saying through and through, listen, man, that was an impressive showing? Or are you saying, listen, if that fight would have went longer, maybe we would have gotten some answers to our questions?
I would go with the latter, Derek. I wasn't impressed with the victory. Obviously, a win is a win. So any way you can get it done, sure. I mean, hey, if you know, end up finger goes in the eye, it's the ref's fault for not stopping it. It is what it is, like I said. But I would like to see those answers that we keep asking for answered, or those questions we keep asking for answered, whatever the saying is. 34-8 regardless, and with this much or little hype going into him, or little knowledge out there with very questionable competition, it just has my interest peaked is all, Derek. I'm not sold either, brother.
So I had an interesting stat that I wanted to pull up right now on this Tapology page. We're going to go right back to it. And I want you to just tell me what you make of it. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to show it, okay? So bringing it back up on the big screen. If you take a look here, right here, you're seeing fantastic victories, right? When you start taking a look at the losses, there's one thing that these losses have in common, right? So first loss, right here, just take a look at the picture, right? And I'm going to keep scrolling, and then if you don't figure it out, I'll let you know what it is. So loss number 1 here, got another loss right here, another one right here. Bring up another one right here, another loss. And I'm not bringing up losses just for the losses. I promise this will all make sense. Another one right here, AJ. And then let me see. No, that one doesn't count. Let me see. We can't pull up. Let me see. One more. Yep. All right. I'm going to stop here. Obviously, this is as far as you can go. With all of these losses that I just pulled up right here, what is the one common theme that you saw? And if you didn't get it, it's totally okay. Just pass it back to me and I'll let you know what it is.
The one common thing I saw, Derek, is all of those were out of the first round. All the first ones until that very last were all decisions. So I'm curious how he's going to be in that long duration of fight when Ruziboev actually has to figure out how things go instead of just starting somebody in the first round. Is that what you were leading to?
So trick question. It was a 2-parter. You got the first part right there. Yes, extended fights don't seem to go the way of Ruziboev. Folks, I'm going to solo myself out so I can look you dead in the eyes and let you know. All of these losses came at welterweight. What does that tell you right there? So let's pull the big screen back up and take a look, man. You sort through it. Welterweight loss. Well, that doesn't count. That's not what I'm talking about. Right here. That's a middleweight loss. Welterweight loss. Welterweight loss. Welterweight. That's all that I'm saying. And the reason that this is impactful, because you might say, well, why does that matter? That was so long ago. The man is dropping back down to welterweight. Now, does he have wins at welterweight? Absolutely, he does. I just think that when you're going into a division that you don't have the most success career-wise, it's another X factor that comes into play. So to wrap this entire segment up about this matchup, because we spent more than enough time here, Nursultan Ruziboev can win this fight. I think there's 2 paths to victory. Stay at range, snipe like you've been doing per usual, and try to get it out in the first round. So that means you come in storming. You come out hot. That's what Ruziboev does. Or get the fight to the mat and see if you can hold Buckley down. I don't know if you'd be able to. But if you're Buckley on the other side, extend the fight. Work the body. Kill him with the power. Kill him with the speed. Plus 100 is a TKO prop. Do you roll with that?
Absolutely, I'm rolling with that one, Derek. I like that TKO prop, and it's the best way for Buckley to win right here.
I like the TKO prop too. Normally, I would play the plus 450 decision since I'm going over 1.5 rounds. But folks, this is over 1.5 rounds, not over 2.5. So I think the TKO is totally in play. And Buckley, we've seen it. He can get it done late. So that is the play here. He feels almost like the underdog. And apologies, I didn't even mention the live line here. These are the opening line. Minus 150 for Buckley, plus 125 for Ruziboev. If you look at live right now, minus 135 Buckley, plus 115 Ruziboev. All that means is that it's trending in favor of Ruziboev. So with that being said, I think that this is a value play. Joaquin Buckley, again, you do not get Buckley at these prices, minus 135. Let's cash that one all day. But give the people the final call before we jump out. What do you take? Do you take the minus 135, or are you just hammering the plus 100? TK?
I'm actually taking the minus 135, Derrick. You're right. You're not getting Buckley at these odds ever again. TKO might happen, might not. I like the money line a lot.
Fair play. New Monza for the victory. That's a Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick. Moving right on along. Atomic, Alonzo Menifield versus the Black Jag, Carlos Ulberg. What's impressive here, AJ, is if you look respectively for these fighters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, both fighters are on 5-fight unbeaten streaks. I have to throwing that caveat because Ulberg is on a true 5-fight win streak. Alonzo Menifield, there's one draw in there. So 5 fights unbeaten. So this is a really interesting clash because Alonzo Menifield's been ranked for a little minute. Carlos Ulberg, on the other hand, he's like, yo, this is my opportunity to jump into the top 15. And with this stylistic matchup right here, this is a real opportunity to do it. So let's let the cat out the bag before we jump into the analysis right here. AJ, clearly you like Ulberg in this fight, correct?
Oh, absolutely, Derrick.
And if you had to just throw out a couple of intangibles from the tape that you watched, what stands out to you watching Carlos Ulberg?
I like his striking a lot. Obviously, the distance control, timing, and how calculated he goes into his process, right? Setting up traps, reading things. He's a very intelligent fighter coming out of that very well-renowned city kickboxing camp. And man, he can put the power to you as well.
Well-renowned, yes, sir. And yes, Carlos Ulberg checks every single box that you just ticked off right there, right? There's another thing that Carlos Ulberg does, and that he counter-strikes very well. He plays the game. Sticks and moves, touches, goes, right? He dances on you, proverbially, which makes sense. Israel Adesanya, city kickboxing, it makes sense, right? Now, we have a man here, AJ, who I think is often discredited, who is not valued the way that he should be in Alonzo Menifield, who has a fantastic team as well in Fortis MMA, Saif Saud, the general, and again, disrespected by the odds makers. So at open, plus 185 was the comeback for Menifield, minus 225 for Carlos Ulberg. If you look live right now, the number has shifted pretty drastically, plus 220 for Menifield, minus 270 for Carlos Ulberg. So massive favorite is Carlos Ulberg, excuse me. My first question before we jump into the Alonzo Menifield breakdown is, do you pay Carlos Ulberg against a nuclear bomb in Alonzo Menifield at minus 270? Do you pay that price?
No, not even close.
Why is that not a fair price?
Man, I was honestly expecting the odds to go the other way, Derrick, because Alonzo Menifield has such power, such bombs in his hands. All it takes is one. And this dude is explosive. This dude is athletic. He can close that distance while the Black Jag is trying to play that chess match we're talking about. Next thing you know, you're sleeping, man.
So I agree with you right there. And this is not a whole setup to be like, AJ, you should agree with me. That's not what this is about at all. What this is about is Alonzo Menifield. He's a mixed martial artist as well. He doesn't just strike. He's not just pure power. He could wrestle too. So the issue with this matchup comes, should Carlos Ulberg be the favorite? In my opinion, yes. I think rightfully so. He should be a favorite in this fight. Should he be a minus 270 favorite? I don't agree with that line. And the reason being is because Alonzo Menifield has too many threats that can come back at him. Again, he can wrestle, he could shut you out with one shot, and as long as he could stay away from just getting pieced up by a jab all night long and letting Ulberg just dance around the cage all night long, he has a shot. One shot is all it takes to get the victory right here. But then again, AJ, even though he just came off of that big win against Dustin Jacoby, the Hanyak, right? It's super impressive, way more impressive than even a Carlos Ulberg victory in my eyes. I think you have to take into consideration, Menifield swings wild. He gets tired. If Ulberg can maintain his poise, he can make this look like a master class and catapult himself damn near to a top 10 position right here. So that's where I see the favorite there on Ulberg. Do you think that's reasonable right here? Obviously, it's in the realm of possibility, but is Menifield truly that kind of fighter to where Ulberg could just out-technical him and just dance around him 15 minutes?
I think so, Derrick, and maybe not to a drastic extent whenever we start the fight, but as the fight goes on, as Ulberg is able to see those holes, kind of put the traps together, make his way to that dance, then that's where we really start to see the crowd separate, if you will. But the thing is, like you said, with Alonzo Menifield, the one thing that worries me, obviously the takedowns, the power that he has, but his explosiveness in those moments, man, that right there does worry me. But if we can see that jab and that dance happening, I do agree with you. I think Ulberg should be the rightful favorite in this one.
But if you look at the props right here, this is the other part where I just say sometimes the odds makers will present something to you that I cannot agree with. Carlos Ulberg minus 115 TKO. Okay, I get it. You think you're going to put the lights out on Menifield. When's the last time Menifield got knocked out? OSP, back in 2020. Right? It's not a common occurrence right here. There's one time in his last 10 fights. So for the ability, I know Ulberg's knocking people out, but like, come on, you know what I mean? Lots of finishes for Ulberg. Alonzo Menifield's a little bit of a different guy. Plus 400 TKO for Alonzo Menifield. AJ, if that's not juice, I don't know what juice is. Like, if you're looking at most likely outcome of victory, boom, that's it right there. And it's at plus 400. Do you hedge that? Even if you're Carlos Ulberg better, throw $5-10 on plus 400 TKO for Menifield.
Absolutely. Absolutely throw some cash on that one right there. That's the best chance for Alonzo Menifield to win this fight. And at plus 400 odds, it'd be very unwise. I'll say that. Unwise not to just put some cash on that, man. He can get it done. Don't sleep on Menifield right here. I am an Ulberg bettor, and I'm definitely looking to put some cash on Ulberg. But seeing that prop, you're not going to get Alonzo Menifield TKO prop at plus 400 is wild.
Yeah. So I think, again, when we're pulling out the macro, bringing it back in, this is a technical fighter versus a dude who could shut your lights out and who can wrestle. Cardio is the big red flag for Alonzo Menifield. And then for Carlos Ulberg, if he gets taken down, I mean, can he get back up? I don't know. That Ihor Potieria victory that Ulberg had, a little fishy. You know what I mean? Shot in the back of the head. He drops. You caught him. Fair, right? The Da-Un Jung, good win, but aside from that, the only wins that have like really stood out to me, the Nikola Negamedianu and the Tafan Nchukwi. You cannot argue with those. If you could do that to Alonzo Menifield, no more doubts on Carlos Ulberg. You are absolutely the real deal. So this is going to be another one of those proving ground fights right here. I'm going with the upside play. I'm going with the value play. Give me Alonzo Menifield TKO plus 400. AJ, Carlos Ulberg, but how does he get it done?
Carlos Ulberg by decision. Give me that plus 350, man. I'm looking for that jab all night long.
All right, fair play. Let's keep it pushing. Diego Ferreira versus Mateusz Rebecki. Apologies if I butchered the name, but all I know is the man is a force to be reckoned with. He opened as a minus 245 favorite, and this was the guy everybody said has to close around minus 500 because he's a destroyer. This is what he does. AJ, check in on the live line right here. Minus 425 for Rebecki, plus 315 for Diego Ferreira. So not quite 500, but he did get the respect that he deserved. And this is a pretty simple analysis right here. Ferreira, OG of the game. Jiu-jitsu is sick. Clearly, he's got bombs in his hand, so he can knock you out too, right? Like he did to Michael Johnson. But this is the real thing, man. Rebecki's gonna start off hot. It's almost that classic Russian style where they just start out the gate super hot, super aggressive, get in your face, and immediately swarm you for the takedown, right? Only problem here, and I want to get this out of the case early. What are we sprinkling on a Diego Ferreira submission plus 800 right here? You jump in, you get guillotined, you get caught playing that wrestling game against a jiu-jitsu like Diego Ferreira. It might cause some real issues, especially since he's so tenured, such a veteran. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, 10, 20, $50. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't go too crazy because obviously Rebecki is the favorite for a reason. He does have that smash style that we always like to see out of the Russian fighters. But man, plus 800 for, like you said, a jiu-jitsu specialist like Diego Ferreira in a early situation, especially with Rebecki, just full on pressure, not thinking he's going to run through you. Next thing you know, you're sleeping. I mean, I can see this happen very easily.
And I really do think Rebecki is a destroyer. I think that he gets through this one pretty flawlessly. It's just those fights where you're expected to dominate. That's when you go in, you do the shot, and you get choked out. Look at Vitor Petrino versus Anthony Smith last week. Undefeated fighter, shoots in, just gets guillotined immediately. Fight's over. It just happened. Logic cannot explain some of these ones, right? That's the game that we play. So give me an upside path to victory for Diego Ferreira that does not involve a desperation submission off of a shot.
Whoo, man. Shots up the middle, shots down the pipe. Keep Rebecki just at bay, just long enough, because Rebecki, I mean, I like the striking. I know he's like you said, he's a mauler. He's going to come in and take you down. But Rebecki has some moves, man. He can get in there. He can go to work. And if Diego Ferreira is able to outwork, outpace, and control, right, get away when you can, sit there, make it dirty. I mean, it sounds like a mountain to climb for Ferreira, but we got to remember he has power, and all it takes is one. I mean, it might not take one for Rebecki to go to sleep, but if Diego Ferreira can multiply, right? Add on to those ones, keep catching him. Man, we can see an accumulation of damage happen, and Rebecki in a place that he's never been before. That's the best path for Ferreira, at least the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair right there. This is, I guess, the other question that I have for you. For Mateusz Rebecki, the over and under is 2.5 rounds. Heavily favored on the under. I think, under is looking minus 175, plus 145 for the 2.5 rounds. Do you see Diego Ferreira being a veteran enough to drag this fight out to a decision?
Woo, that's hard, man. I don't think has Rebecki gone to a decision. Oh yeah, he has gone to a decision. So I'm gonna say yeah, man. I'm gonna say yeah. Ferreira can probably get that done.
What are you betting on?
Ooh, if on decision, man, I'm not.
I'm just saying over or under 2.5 rounds.
Probably the under.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping that Rebecki gets in there and finishes them. All I know is this, folks. Rebecki at this point at minus 425 is absolutely going to be a stay away unless you parlay him to create value. That's the only way that you're actually seeing your return on this. Aside from that, should be pretty much a smash spot. So love to see it right there. Let's move right on along. Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres versus Sean Woodson, man. This is a really intriguing matchup here at featherweight. And what's more intriguing is the line, AJ. Minus 180 for Sean Woodson, plus 150 for Alex Caceres, which is a fair line in my opinion. Let's take a look at the live numbers, plus 175. So Alex Caceres has definitely dropped down a little bit. And minus 210 for Sean Woodson. So odds makers are liking Woodson here. Here's my question to you, man. We've seen Bruce Leroy win the fights that he shouldn't win and lose the fights that he should win. And that's the reality of the game sometimes. But coming off of that last loss to Giga Chikadze versus a Sean Woodson, who came off of that really impressive win against Charles Jourdain, I really see Caceres and Jourdain in a very similar light. They're not the same fighter by any stretch of the imagination. Both of them, jiu-jitsu, right? Both of them striking, sick with it. Caceres, though, uses more of those legs, more of the distance, more kicks, and just kind of flows with his style of fight. But we saw if you can't take Woodson down, and if you can't stay off the end of his jabs, end of his right cross, you're in real trouble. So what do you think about the line? What do you think about Alex Caceres? What value does he provide in this matchup?
I mean, the line makes sense, Derek. I agree with you. I think Woodson should be the favorite going into this matchup with how he's able to get things working and make the fight go the way he wants it to go. But what I think Alex Caceres brings to the table is nullifying that distance, right? If a guy can't jab you because you're kicking him the entire time, he can't step forward because his leg doesn't work. I can see Alex Caceres getting in that flow state that he needs to get into. The only thing I wish for Alex Caceres to do, and this is going to sound funny because they're in a fight, but we need Alex Caceres to bring more actual violence to the cage. This guy, don't get me wrong, I love the Bushido style. I love his demeanor and how he goes about the sport. But at the end of the day, if you're going up against a killer like Sean Woodson and you're not trying to absolutely destroy the guy, you're going to be waking up with some lumps on you. You're going to be hurt. And Sean Woodson is no one to be trifled with.
Yeah, he's a little more active too in the numbers, right? So he's throwing out right now about 5.5 strikes per minute. Bruce Leroy, on the other hand, about 4. Takedown defense of 84%. It's showing, man. For Woodson, like I wanted to fade him a couple of different times, but he keeps winning. And you're just like, yo, man, with that frame, especially given that, what does everybody want to do to Woodson? They get in there, I'm going to take him down. He's a good boxer. All right, we're going to stop that, right? Is it the wisest move for Caceres to say, let's kickbox?
Keep it standing?
Yeah, like does Caceres, is it wise for him to say, let's kickbox Sean Woodson? I know that's your bread and butter, but let's go ahead and let's do it.
I think so, Derek, because like you said, everybody's tried to take down Sean Woodson. He's going to be expecting that. He thinks everybody's scared of his striking. What happens when you go in there and you shake him up a little bit? Now he's wondering what's going to hit him next. It's a new look for Sean Woodson, but you're right. He is a great kickboxer.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull back on that the Charles Jourdain experience right there, where I thought Charles Jourdain would be able to out-pressure him, piece him up, but once he couldn't get off the end of those shots, he's like, I got to wrestle. And then he couldn't wrestle. And then it was just a wrap, right? And it was the weird split decision that shouldn't have been split. We know Sean Woodson won that fight. But either way, I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup. Let's jump into the prop numbers right here, man. Plus 105 decision for Sean Woodson is calling my name, bro. I see that. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. I don't see him knocking out Bruce Leroy. Let me actually take a look. Last 2 losses. Alex Caceres is... 7-3 in his last 10. His last loss where he got finished, he got choked out by Kron Gracie, which there's no knock on that, but that was back in 2019. Plus 105 calling my name, AJ. What do you think about it?
Plus 105 for the Sean Woodson decision makes sense, Derek. I'm looking on the line on the other side. Submission 650, decision 250. I could see the decision happening for Caceres, but personally, man, I like that money line the most. What'd you say the live odds was now? Plus 175?
Yeah, plus 175.
Yeah, I like that money line a lot better. If I had to choose a prop, give me the prop decision 250.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you either take the decision or you just roll with the dog, right? And Alex Caceres, he has definitely worked some wonders as a dog previously, brought a lot of value. But again, I think it's going to be real tough. You need to bring someone with a good frame to be able to dethrone Sean Woodson, because the last guy to do it in his last 10, it was actually a submission by Julian Erosa, who was also tall, long, and lanky. So he at least had a frame to match up well with him. But again, those are the picks right there. All right, AJ. This next fight is the most intriguing one on the entire main card right here. Waldo's Cortes-Acosta versus Robles Despaigne. Again, no disrespect, but let me solo out and look into the camera right here. I'm not sold on Despaigne. Not yet. This dude is an Olympic Taekwondo medalist, super long and lanky, 6'7", with an 84-inch reach, and I love all of that. And I think that there is real merit having that frame in this sport. But I also think when you are 5-0 in the UFC, or what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5-0 in MMA, excuse me, your entire MMA career. All 5 victories are first round knockouts. I am not sold. Let me see you get out the first round, then we could talk. And I think Waldo Cortes-Acosta is the perfect fighter to be able to combat him, because you got the salsa boy, bro. You got the dude who is out there ready to, come on, dip and dive and duck. More importantly, he's ready to extend the fight. That's literally the number one thing that I care about right here. He's been tested, he's had his chin touched, and he has not been knocked out thus far. One loss was to Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who is a very impressive heavyweight that we have right here. Yeah, he got his face smashed in by Derrick Lewis, but let's not think about that. What we need to think about is how AJ are the odds makers saying minus 345 open for Despaigne, and then we've come back down to live minus 240 for Despaigne, plus 195 for Acosta. So money's coming in on Acosta. But how do the odds makers even formulate this? They just see you're a spectacle, you're going viral on social media, so you must just be able to knock this dude out, no problem. What do you think?
That's the only thing they're thinking. They must be sitting there on TikTok just watching Despaigne's reels, because man, I don't get me wrong, I'm putting money on Despaigne. I do think he's going to win this fight, but I'm not. It's one of those situations where all the numbers, they look good as you open it up, but once you actually dive into it, there's some work that needs to be done and some issues that need to be solved. And if this is the fight, you're right, Derrick. I think this is a prove-it fight, one, for Despaigne to actually show that he is a real deal fighter in this one, can get it done past that round one with an experienced fighter like Waldo Cortes-Acosta, excuse me, but also on the same end for Acosta, because when you're falling into this heavyweight division that's a little bit light, a little bit lacking, you have a guy that's going to come in here and arguably just skyrocket to the top, or you can take his thunder and make that path back to yourself. Kind of like how, I mean, I'm not going to compare him to Derrick Lewis, but kind of how that same path goes. You fight the people when you take their heat, you jump up a little bit. It can happen for Costa.
It totally could, and that's what's weird, right? Because he's more proven in the big show. But if you beat this monster behemoth of a giant right here, this Taekwondo master, right, you get points. You immediately get points. But this is the other question that I have right here, man. For Despaigne, average fight time is 18 seconds, which is just ridiculous, right? I don't even know what to make of that. But the TKO prop is minus 175 right here. Given that we haven't seen him knock out anybody outside of the first round, are you convinced that the power translates through 3 rounds?
No. I was going to go like 2 rounds, Derrick. Then I might be a little bit more open to talking, but 3 rounds, it's just not there. No, there's no proof in the pudding, man. We need to see it.
And this is a tough one for me, because I look at Waldo Cortes-Acosta and what does he have on paper? Not on paper, in real life when you watch tape. He has a nasty, crisp jab. It's a long jab too. It's not 84 inches, AJ. It's not that, but it's long, so he's going to have to close distance. He has some solid head movement, and when he's on his A game and not being a madman, just swinging like a crazy guy, right? When he's being technical, he's sharp. They call him the salsa boy for a reason. So I just think that there's so many unknowns right here. You just have to bet on what you've seen on tape, and that's what the hardest part about it. If you had to describe to the people who are watching this right now why you want to roll with Despaigne, given that he is as unproven as he is, please do, because we need to get that point too. It's easy to bash him and say, oh, unproven, but like clearly you like him enough to bet on him. What is it about the phenomenon of Despaigne?
I like him. Why I like Despaigne in this fight, Derrick, he has different ways of moving and a lot more speed than a lot of people have seen in the heavyweight division. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think Waldo Cortes-Acosta is going to be able to hit those salsa boy moves, right? Have that good footstep. But if Cortes-Acosta starts to chase Despaigne, man, Despaigne has good power both backwards and forwards. And with the length and the size he has, he can hit you at distances that you're not used to, neutralize those kicks that we might see out of Waldo, and just really be able to overpower. And that's what I think is going to happen. And he needs to get it done in the first round. Don't get me wrong. All those things we said before are valid. I think this could happen in the first round. And hopefully it does. If you're Despaigne better right here, it's still, there's a lot of murky in that water. I think Despaigne can get it done by KO though.
Yeah, that's what we saw against Josh Parisian in the last fight, right? Josh Parisian rushed him, said, let me just drop my hands, and he got clipped. You get hit from places you don't expect. So again, there's true merit in having frame right there for Despaigne. I don't like the minus 175 TKO from a value perspective. There's nothing that you could pull from there. Don't like the money line play on Despaigne. So even if I was playing devil's advocate, I don't see him being a bettable fighter per se in the terms of bringing value. Now for the competition of what we're doing, yeah, totally see it. But I think pure value is on the Waldo Cortes-Acosta side, no matter who you're betting, plus 275. Leave it at that. We don't need to touch anything else. We're just taking that. And if you look at it now, of course, we're up to plus 195 for the live odd. So smash that. In my opinion, if you're tailing me for Waldo Cortes-Acosta, drag out the fight, be more experienced, and take him to places he's never been. This is so much of a stay away from me, though, man. I would not bet TKO. I would not bet decision. I would not bet any of that. I would stick it with the money line because I don't know what Despaigne looks like out of the first round. So with that being said, a contentious pick right here, but this should be a fun one. This should totally be like a proving grounds fight for sure, as you had just mentioned. All right, AJ, well, with that being said, that is your main card breakdown for UFC St. Louis, a spectacle to be had, but we're not done. We have some sleepers for you where we're going to be highlighting the unknowns of today, but the stars of tomorrow. So let's go ahead. Let's not mince any words. Let's jump straight to it.
It's time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, AJ, we got a couple of fun sleepers, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring them up on the big screen. We're actually going to go ahead, and this is kind of weird. Sometimes we do these back-to-back sleepers. I don't know if it ends up working out that way just because whatever reason, but I just think it's funny because the UFC knows how to line them up. They said, oh, we got bangers for you on top of each other. So let's go ahead and let's jump straight to it, man. I'm going to bring up the big screen and talk to the people about, wait, that's not it. Hold on, sorry. AJ, where are we at? Where's your sleeper?
Go down, Jared Gooden.
That's it. It was one underneath. So we are one in between. That's what I was trying to say right there. That's going to be a banger too. We need to come back to that Jake Hadley fight. But yes, this is it. Talk to the people because this, on paper, in real life, and every way you want to put it, this is going to be a fun fight right here.
Absolutely, Derek. This is going to be a very fun fight. And as for the sleeper section, it's a little bit more towards Air Josette right here, right? We all know the Night Train, man. And if you don't know the Night Train, what are you doing? Go check him out, right? Go see some greatness. But either way, right? Josette, man, City Kickboxing. I said it before, world renowned. I can nail the word this time, but he's also very technical going in here. So if he's able to work things, get it going, this is a prime spot for Josette to be able to show his true skills, show that star power he has. And we'll see his name continuing to grow on the fight card and eventually making its way to main events. But at the same point, you sleep on the Night Train, man. You're going to be waking up in a daze. You can see a lot of people are betting on Josette, but I mean, you still got the Night Train love. You know, you still got the true fans out there. This one's going to be a banger for sure.
I think that Josette could finish this fight. I think that he could take this into really, really deep waters and finish this fight. So I'm excited to see that. Now, you want to talk about another sleeper right here, AJ, because I got a banger right here. Trey Waters versus Billy Goff, man. AJ, I don't know if you know about this dude, Billy Goff, but this dude is on another level. And when I say that, this is pure junkyard dog, a dude who refuses to die, a dude who the very talented Trey Waters, who's coming off of that decision victory over Josh Quinlan, which I cannot speak enough about, is going to have to absolutely finish this guy if he wants to stay safe, because it doesn't matter what you bring in front of him, doesn't matter how hittable Billy Goff is, he's in the fight and he's ready to get it. So what's better than watching some of those fights? They might not even be the highest level fights, but you just have tenacity, will, you have determination, you have vigor, you have life, you have determination to win. I can't overstate this enough. This is going to be one of the most fun fights that you can watch. So tune in for the truth. Trey Waters versus Billy Goff should be a banger. And AJ, I've said enough on that. You know I like to get a little hyped on the sleepers, baby. But hey, this is a deep card, as we had just mentioned. So we got some prelims that we should pour over. Good old prelim pour over for you right there. AJ, let me bring up the big screen, and then let's start running them. Listen, dude, we got a lot of fun ones. So just stop me on one of them, and let's talk about it.
Ooh, I want to start off, Derek, with that Charles Jourdain, Jake Hadley fight for sure, man. And it's in
Charles
between both of our
Johnson,
sleepers.
bro. Charles
Oh,
Johnson.
Charles
Put some
Johnson.
respect.
Energy. What am I talking about? Energy. Charles Johnson versus Jake Hadley. This is going to be a fun one, man. I almost picked this for a sleeper just so more people can be known about Jake Hadley. But this dude's a killer out here, man. And going up against a formidable opponent. You want to talk about a dog? The energy Charles Johnson's going to show up.
I like Charles Johnson in this fight, AJ. I like plus 125. Transparency alert, folks. I dropped some cash on Charles Johnson right here because I don't see this being very different from a lot of the other fights that people said Charles Johnson couldn't win. All of the Kazakhstanians that they put him against and all that good stuff. Listen, man, when it comes down to pure striking, Charles Johnson is the real deal, and he can hang tit for tat for anybody. You want to wrestle him? Let's wrestle. The dude has a grappling acumen as well, at least the ability to keep the fight standing or when he gets down, work his way back up to his feet so that he could make it a real dogfight. There's one thing that I think is very clear, and it's pretty much the same sentiment as the sleeper that I just had. You got to kill Charles Johnson if you want to keep that victory intact. Like, you cannot say, oh, I'm up points, we're cruising to a victory. I don't think that's something you could say against Charles Johnson. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely agree with you, Derek. I mean, they say he's the energy for a reason. This dude's got game, and he's there till he dies. This is going to be a very fun fight.
That's it. So watch out for this one, folks. Another one that we have to bring up, man. The return of the tiny tornado, Tisha Pennington. No longer Tisha Torres, right? Now with the champion, Raquel Pennington, but she comes up against the Baby Shark. And I think this is a really intriguing fight because if you're the Baby Shark, you're coming off of that last performance, which we do have to bring up just for the sake of, oh, sorry, AJ, my mouse decided not to work. There we go. All right. Yeah, she's coming off that loss against Lupi Godinez, right? Just got out-wrestled, got out-maneuvered, out-busied. I guess that's the best way that you could put it. Well, Tisha Torres is of that same exact cloth. And I don't see why Tisha Torres can't do the same exact thing to the Baby Shark. Now, we love Tabitha Ricci because, she's made herself popular amongst the masses, right? She's very talented. She has a fantastic work ethic. She's a Southern California native. Shout out to the 805. But Tisha Torres is established, and Tisha Torres has already been a gatekeeper for a long time. Meaning that she's shutting down, like, the people who are real contenders today, she already shut those people down, you know what I mean? So what do you think about this matchup? And is Tisha Pennington going to fall into the curse of the just had my first baby, first return back to action, which notoriously does lead to a loss? What do you think?
That was going to be my question, Derek. How does Tisha Pennington return to the cage after everything that's happened? I mean, I forget how long she's been out as well, but I mean, there's been a time since the tiny tornado has really caused destruction in her path. But man, I love Tabitha Ricci, but I actually like Tisha in this fight a little bit more. I definitely think she can out-veteran her, outmaneuver the Baby Shark. I don't know. It's a hard one. I like both these fighters. What do you think? How long's it been?
It's been since 2022, so 2 years out, so it's been a long time. Last loss was to Mackenzie Dern, a split to Mackenzie Dern. Very impressive. Beat Angela Hill, beat Sam Hughes, Brianna Fortino, and then she had that rough streak. Marina Rodriguez, Zhang Weili, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Jessica Andrade. AJ, those 4 fighters are levels above anybody that the Baby Shark has even come close to competing against. So that's just kind of why I say, when you look at it from that perspective, I do think Tisha Pennington is game. I'm going to rock with the Baby Shark here because I do believe in the curse. I'm a little bit of a superstitious gent, if you will. And I think that, listen, man, she probably learned from that Lupi Godinez loss and said, hey, I got to string them together. I got to be busier. I got to get the job done. And it goes to show how active Tisha is with the takedowns, given that her takedown percentage, her accuracy is 14%. Shoot a lot of takedowns. Doesn't matter if you hit it or not. You're giving your opponent something to think about. So don't got a pick for you, but I am leaning the Baby Shark. What about you?
Yeah, I'm actually leaning the tornado. We'll see. I say that with full pause too, because you're right. The curse of Mama Bear and as well as inactivity. We'll see how it goes. I like the style though.
That's it. All right, AJ, I need a official pick from you right here. I'm actually going to pull it up right here. Terrence McKinney, he opened up as a minus 200 favorite. As you can see here, he's a plus 140 dog against Esteban Ribovic. Here's the question. Does this fight last any longer than like 2.5 minutes?
Ooh, 2.5 minutes? I'm going to say yeah, but not much longer.
McKinney's a fast starter, bro. You know what I mean? Win or loss, like he gets after it. I think that this is going to be a really interesting matchup, man. And I do like Ribovic here, but Terrence McKinney is dangerous. We know striking is the strong suit. When it gets down to the grappling, that's where things get interesting. But McKinney could wrestle as well. Do you have a lean? Who's your lean in this matchup?
I'm leaning Rebecki. It's hard not to bet against T-Rex in the opening bit, but I don't know, man. I think Rebecki is going to outwork him as well.
My lean is Rebecki as well, but my real, true, official pick on this matchup is violence. That's what you're going to see right here. That's what you got to tune into. Unfortunately, they're both a little too well known to be a sleeper, of course, but this definitely falls into sleeper contention right there. All right, AJ, we talked about it a little bit, but Chase Hooper versus Slavoclaws, Vyacheslav Borshev. I'm going to keep coming back to this, and as his career grows, if he goes to where we think he's going to go, I'm going to take victory laps all day long, because he was in my yearly awards. What I don't even remember what the category was, but it was something really good for Slavoclaws, because this dude is legit. This is a fight where on paper you say 32-year-old Slavoclaws has been working on nothing but takedown defense. If he can keep the fight standing, he will annihilate Chase Hooper. But what have we seen? Chase Hooper is not a young boy anymore, AJ. The man has grown into 155 pounds, all 6'1", 24 years old. He's not even there yet, but give the man another 6-7 years until we see what he actually ends up looking like. And I think that Chase Hooper, man, if he can get Slavoclaws down, there's a really good chance that Slavoclaws is not making it back up to the feet. So I know you already got bets placed on this one right here, but just tell me what you like about this matchup.
Man, I like the calculated approach that both these fighters are going to do, right? They both know where this fight has to be for them to win, and now the X's and O's of how that chess match of going to be able to battle. That's where I think the value comes into this. Both of these fighters, and you're right, Chase Hooper is no longer the baby giraffe out there striking. Homeboy can string some things together. He can get the fight to where he needs to go, get this fight to the ground and take over. The big question, man, Slavoclaws, is how hard is Slavoclaws going to be able to get a hold of? You know, this dude's a mover, man. He's a shaker. He can have some nice footwork, go in there, piece you up, and dip out. We'll see. I'm leaning Slavoclaws.
Give me a career trajectory for Chase Hooper. Dude's 24 years old, man. What's the ceiling?
24, man. It's crazy enough, Derrick. I'm not doubting Chase Hooper to actually get his hands on some gold. 24 years old. We can see a champ, 28, 32-year-old champion Chase Hooper, polished career, like knocking people out, submitting them however he does. This dude's going to grow up in the UFC, and I can see gold around his belt or around his waist.
Yeah, 24 years old. That's just the biggest key right there. I mean, listen, we ain't no old men over here, right? But it's just that's so young in the game for him to have already been around for this long. I mean, you could make the same argument, though. You could be like, oh, Mickey Gall, he's going to be champion. He started with the UFC. So not for everybody, but this dude's skill set is legit. All right, folks, that is the end of your prelim pour over. We made it to another outro. UFC St. Louis is right here on the horizon. And if you are the guy who says, man, I want to bet on some fights, I don't want to do no research. I don't really know what I'm watching. Who knows this stuff? Well, you came to the right place. It's the Bloody Water Podcast. This is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show for a reason. It's because we are providing the value by doing the work week in and week out. Accountability, that's the key. AJ, as always, I'm going to let you take us out of here, brother. What you got?
Folks, we're not saying don't go and do your own work, right? The money is made when you're actually getting in there, you're knowing it. But what I am saying is you can look at our record. You can see it right here. We're winning you more money than anybody out there, hands down. So you need to make sure you're sharing it with your friends. You need to make sure you're subscribed right here, because I guarantee you all year long, we're going to be putting money in that pocket. We're your favorite fighter's favorite fight show for a reason, soon to be your favorite gambler's favorite gamble show. Not favorite fight show, regardless, for any reason, all reasons. You already know, folks. Make sure you subscribe. It's going to be a fun week.
That's it for us, folks. Catch us on the flip side Monday for the UFC St. Louis post show, where we'll be breaking down how we did on this weekend's picks. All right, folks, that's it for us. And until next time, peace.